Welcome to Fino Concepts. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos.
Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our application. For this job, I'm using Adobe After Effects. So once I'm in this new project window, I'll just click on New Composition and make sure that my width and height are set to 1920 by 1080, so that's 1080p. And I'm going to change the background color to a white color and click on OK. I'm also leaving my duration to about 10 seconds. It should actually be as long as your video or your audio is. In my case, I'm just leaving it at, let's make it 20 seconds and just click on OK. Alright, now let's zoom out a little bit. I'm going to add in an effect called radial ramp. So to do that, just go into the effect panel where you should find it here. So you go to Windows and you should find effect somewhere around here, effect and presets. So once it pops up on the right hand side, I'm going to type in gradient ramp. Now obviously I have to apply this to a certain layer, but since there's no layer in here, make sure you go into the layers panel right here, right click and go to new. Then I'll click on new solid, also set the color to whatever color I want and just click on OK. So now we have a new solid in there. Alright, so now I can hit enter and call this background and just lock it if I want to, so that it doesn't move anymore. Now but before that, let's just apply the gradient ramp. So I'll just click and drag and drop it onto the layer, or you can just even put it here. Anything of that sort should work. Now you should get the options on the right hand side, on the left hand side right here. And I'm going to change it from linear ramp to radial ramp so that we have a circular gradient. And I'll just click and drag and drop this at the center. Somewhere around here should be just fine. And I'm also going to invert the selection, so click on swap colors so that the darker ones would be on the other side. And I'll just click and drag this somewhere around here, so far from the center, so somewhere around here should be just fine. You can also go ahead and play with the opacity and all of that in case you want to make this much lighter, but I'm okay with this, so I'll fit this to screen 100%. So what we are going to do is, let's import our audio. So I'll go into my Windows panel right here, select an audio from NCX and just click and drag and drop it in here like so. Alright, so I don't want this audio to be too lengthy, so I'll cut it over here. So hold down the Alt key and press the right bracket key. Should just cut it like so. So I think this is cool. Let me bring it at the bottom because it's an audio. It doesn't really affect it as much. So let's go up here where you have the tools option. Click and hold and select the ellipse tool. And I'll draw an ellipse like this whilst holding down the shift key so that I don't get any form of deformity. So holding down the shift key, I think something about this should be just fine. And I'm going to place it at the center. So go into window, make sure that the align tab is checked. Now you should see it somewhere here. Let me just click and drop it on this side, and I'll do the exact same thing for effect as well. So let's bring align to the bottom and I'll align this horizontally and vertically. Now you can see that this point right here is not at the center. So if I try to rotate, or if I press R on my keyboard and try to rotate this, you see it is rotating around that anchor point. We don't want that, we want it to be at the center. So you see this icon right here which says pan behind or anchor point to. Hold down the control key and double click on it. This is going to place it at the center. Now there's one more thing I don't actually like. So what this is you see with our shape, we already have a stroke around it. So I'll go back to the shapes tool, make sure the fill is set to whatever color I want. In this case, I think I'm okay with this blue, and I'm going to set the stroke to none, so 0 for the stroke. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this. So select the layer, Control D to create a duplicate. So now that I have two of these, let's select the bottom one, hit enter and call this fill. Select the top one, hit enter, call this stroke. Now I think this is looking cool. So for the one on top, I'm going to click on the text fill, not the rectangle, the text fill, and I'll click on no fill for that. Hit OK. And for the stroke, I'll set it to about the same as I had previously, so 20. So if I go ahead and use the selection tool and try to move these, you can see that they are two separate things, but they are both aligned at the center, so they fit perfectly. Now I think this is looking cool. So over at the center, you can put whatever you want. You can put a text, you can put basically anything. Alright, so I'll select stroke right here, and I'll click on this arrow over there. In there you should see content, and you have this add button right next to it. So you click on the play button and select trim path, which should be somewhere around here. So what this does is we can animate our path or the stroke which we have over there. So I'll just click on that arrow one more time. We have a start and an end. So if you go ahead and play with the slider for the start, you can see that we already have an animation, and the end also gives us some nice animation. But all of these are pivoting over at the top here at the 0-degree angle. What we want to do is have it at the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll go into offset, the second option right here, and type 180. So that's 180, and if we go ahead and try to play this, this is what we are getting. Now I think this is looking cool. Now I want to create a keyframe for the start, but we don't want it to be starting over here obviously. So I think somewhere around 15 should be just fine. Then for the end, somewhere around 85 should also be just fine. So these are the couple of things we are going to be animating. So we'll move our playhead over to the end of our song. In your case, it might be 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and we'll create a keyframe for the end position. Let's just leave it as that for now, and we'll move back to the beginning. So this is going to be the end. We'll move back to the beginning, and we'll just move this all the way over here at the percentage, just as the start button. So if you go ahead and play this, this is what you are getting. Is going to move in as smooth as this over to the end. So let's just say you want to go crazy and change this to 10%, then you have to make sure that it is 90% over here, so that they all move or align each other perfectly. And you also have to make sure that the beginning over here should also be 10%, just as the start, and not 15. So if you go ahead and play this, this is what you are getting. So basically this is the whole animation, but there are a couple of things you can also add in, but I don't want this tutorial to be too long, so I'll just show you what I added in as a text and all of that, and you can just go ahead and do that if that is what you are into. So basically what I did was I just added in a text, and I'll also align that at the center like so, and I can also add in something like a rectangle. So again, click and hold on the shapes tool and select the rectangle, click on the word fill and make sure that it's set to a solid color, click on OK. Then I'll go back to the word stroke, not the colors, the word stroke, and I'll go to none. Then I'll create a rectangle like so, and I'll just use the selection tool to make it bigger or make it smaller depending on how I want it. So I think about this big should be just fine. Let me place it at the center horizontally, so that if I move it to the left, it's also going to be stretching over at the right for me. And I can also make it smaller like so and place it here whilst holding down the shift key. I think something as simple as this should be just fine. In case you have in other text, you can also do that. So basically that is it. If I go ahead and preview this, this is what we have.